The African, Caribbean and Pacific group of states are demographically and economically diverse. 39 of the 79 countries in the region are vulnerable states, such as small island nations and poor landlocked countries. The three regions face significant challenges in the years to come as they aim to step up economic growth and move millions out of poverty and into productive activity. The Secretariat of the ACP Group of States, responsible for the executive management of the ACP Group, believes that the key for achieving this objective lies within the private sector. Recognition of this led the ACP to formulate an overall private sector development strategy, which was presented in Brussels on the 10th and 11th of November 2014. Approximately 100 participants representing public and private sector stakeholders from ACP missions, embassies, ACP regional economic communities, and other development partners attended the high-level symposium where they discussed how to shape ACP's private sector development strategy over the next 5 years, assisting member states to grow their economies in an inclusive and sustainable way.
It is providing a platform for dialogue. We're hoping to be able to exchange views and ideas and thoughts going forward. We're hoping to learn from each other's experiences, and we're hoping finally to be able to agree to build consensus going forward about the strategies that we would agree to have in place.
We are paving the way to facilitate cross-fertilization of initiatives, but at the same time to pave the way for improved intra-ACP trade and business, and also enable the private sector to play its role as an engine for poverty reduction and sustainable development in ACP countries and regions.
Two consultants who conducted a consultation of stakeholders in ACP regions and capitals shared at the symposium their concrete recommendations on the operationalization of the private sector development strategy in ACP countries and regions.
What will be new about this strategy is that the fact that the strategy will try and achieve transformational benefit, transformational impact for the ACP group of countries, for the countries and the region.
There are several challenges. Amidst those that I can point to right now is a resource challenge. There's an implementation challenge where we need to move implementation closer to the ground, closer to the beneficiaries. There's an issue of capacitating a lot of the beneficiaries. We have a lot of informal actors in the private sector. We need to bring them into the formal sector, and we need to increase their skill and management levels so that they can participate more meaningfully in the private sector.
Over 2 days, the participants discussed mechanisms to help stimulate the expansion of the private sector in ACP countries, all the while bearing in mind that this positive strategy must be adaptable to all regions.
We are talking about 79 countries that are very diverse, and by definition, Africa is diverse. Southern Africa is diverse. So it would mean you have to adjust, you have to adapt. This is why one of the most interesting principles of this strategy is adaptability, meaning you are going to adapt the principle, the policies to a specific area by taking into account its culture, policies, government, and governance.
We have to face that ACP is a very large group of countries, very diversified. But I think the tone of that there are opportunities, that you should make them work, and that concrete action should be taken, is the promising message I hear this morning.
Participants voiced their recommendations on how micro, small and medium enterprises can drive economies, but also expressed their concerns regarding access to finance and the high interest rates that some institutions still charge.
The debate this morning until now has been on the issue of access to finance, feasibility of ACP, and how ACP private sectors can be able to have access to future financing provided by the EU for their own private sector development needs. So if there's going to be real tangible developments on ground, institutions like EIB must be able to transform itself to come on ground in the islands, in the ACP states, and work closely and meaningfully with private sector developments to take their course of action and to be able to support them in assisting implementation of key development projects.
The major core constraint of the access to finance can be institutionally established through Act of Parliaments by the member countries, so that we have an institution that will be able to serve the microfinancing of MSE through a sustainable way, through ACP participation. What matters is how the public sector can be engaged with the private sector, so that we can be able to sensitize them the need of establishing this institution that will provide sustainable services to the success of the document.
Stakeholders and key development partners also agreed that agricultural growth belongs at the center of any development strategy, and that this change is essential for growth, poverty reduction, and food security, especially for the poorer ACP countries.
Private sector in agriculture could be the driver for linking more agriculture and in particular small farmers to the market, because private sector knows better the consumers and they are better linked to the market. So for us it's really a very good entry point, and also a way to have this transformation and modernization of agriculture sector.
The symposium recognized the vastness of the informal sector in the ACP and the critical need to improve the level of formality. The informal sector needs to become an important target group in the PSD strategy, and interventions must be designed to support growth and pave the way to a formal economy. The high-level symposium presented an excellent opportunity for stakeholders, regional communities and practitioners to engage in a constructive discussion where all agreed that the economic development of the states will not progress without the private sector, which is seen as the engine for economic growth and poverty reduction in ACP countries and regions.